What's the most petty you've ever been? Don't judge me, but I literally stole a car. I'm 29. Tara and I had been friends since college, which is the only reason I covered her half of the beach house last summer when her card got declined at the rental desk. You're a lifesaver, she said, squeezing my arm. I'll get it back to you in a week, promise. $800. A week stretched into a month, and when I finally brought it up, she waved her hand like she was shooing a fly off her plate. Oh my god, the 800. Relax. You know I always pay people back eventually. Don't make it weird. I told her rent was due and I was a little short that month. I'll get to it. We're friends. Friends don't nickel and dime each other over one little favor. She changed the subject to where we should go for brunch. Another month went by, and every time I asked, I got the same tired speech. Eventually. You know I'm good for it. Honestly, being this cheap about money is not a good look on you. 2 weeks after that speech, she showed up to dinner in brand new boots and a leather jacket, and when my eyes lingered on them a beat too long, she got defensive. Those were on sale, and you don't get to police what I spend. The 800 is coming, okay? She ordered the most expensive thing on the menu and let me reach for the check. By the third month, I had given up asking, because somehow asking turned me into the villain. Every time I brought it up, she found a way to make me feel unreasonable, like I was the one doing something wrong by wanting my own money back. I swallowed it and moved on, same as I always did, and I told myself eventually was just who Tara was, and it was the price of keeping the friendship. Then my transmission gave out on the highway. The shop quoted 3 weeks minimum waiting on a part, and I had a job that did not care one bit how I got there. So I called Tara. Hey, any chance I could borrow your car for a bit while mine's in the shop? She hesitated. How long is a bit? Just until the part comes in. Fine, but be careful with it, and I need it back this weekend for my mom's birthday on Sunday. She dropped it off with a full tank and a list of rules taped to the dashboard. No eating in it, premium gas only. Back by Saturday night, not Sunday morning, Saturday night. I thanked her and I meant it. Then Saturday came, and I decided I was not quite finished with it yet. Tara texted that evening. Heading out? Can you swing the car by? I sent back the only line that felt fair. I'll get it back to you eventually. You know, I'm good for it. My phone rang half a second later. What do you mean eventually? I need it tomorrow morning. I hear you. I'll get to it. I'm not going to forget. This is not the same as money. This is my actual car. Sure it is. Don't make it weird. We're friends, remember? I wished her a good night and went to bed. Tara borrowed her sister's car for the birthday and figured she would have hers back by Monday. Monday, I drove it to work. Tuesday, I took it to the grocery store. By Friday, she had left me a voicemail in a brand new tone. I don't know what game you think you're playing, but I need my car back today. I called her right back. Easy as anything. Absolutely. The second your $800 lands in my account, the keys are yours. Funny how badly you want your stuff back the moment it's the other way around. She went very quiet. So this is about the money. You're holding my car hostage over $800? I'm not holding anything hostage. I'll get it back to you eventually. That is the exact deal you taught me. Word for word. Tara tried everything after that. She told our whole group chat I had basically stolen her car until our friend Nadia asked the one question that ended it. Wait, didn't you owe him money since like spring? Nobody picked up Tara's side after that. She tried guilt next. I have appointments I can't miss. What if there's an emergency? You're being a terrible friend. You sat on my rent money during an emergency of mine and told me to relax. I reminded her. I'm just relaxing. Same as you said. On her first visit, she banged on the door of an empty unit for nothing because I was at work in her car. The second time, I opened the door with the keys hanging off one finger, just not in the direction she wanted them to go. Give them to me. $800. I don't have it on me right this second. Then I don't have the car on me right this second. You see how that works now? She drove off in her sister's car again, fuming. For 3 months, I drove that little blue Corolla everywhere I needed to be. I filled it with premium gas exactly like she demanded, kept it spotless, never once ate so much as a fry inside it. She would cruise past my building to check whether the Corolla was parked out front, and it always was, sitting pretty in my spot like it had moved in for good. Every couple of weeks she would text, and every couple of weeks I mailed her own words right back. Eventually. You know I'm good for it. Don't be weird about it. One Tuesday, deep into the 3rd month, my phone buzzed with a bank notification before her text even came through. Tara had finally sent the 800 with 3 words attached. There, happy now? Then a second text. Bring my car back, please. That night I went back through every single text thread I had with Tara. Not skimming, really reading. I started all the way back at the beach house trip, the one where her card got declined, and I covered her half without thinking twice. I screenshotted the text where she promised to pay me back in a week. Then I kept scrolling. Every time she said eventually, screenshot. Every time she told me not to make it weird, screenshot. The one where she called me cheap, screenshot. The one where she changed the subject to brunch instead of paying me back, screenshot. I made a folder on my phone and dropped every single one in there. Something in my gut told me this was not over just because she finally paid up, and I wanted everything in one place if the day came where I needed it. The next morning, I grabbed the Corolla keys off my counter and drove that little blue car one last time. I pulled into Tara's apartment complex, found her assigned spot, backed in nice and straight, and killed the engine. The car was spotless. Not a wrapper, not a crumb, not a scuff. I had filled it with premium that morning, same as she asked. I tucked the keys under the visor exactly where she had left them for me. Got out, closed the door, and pulled out my phone. I typed the text and read it twice before I hit send. Car's in your spot. Full tank. Premium. Not a scratch. We're even. Then I started walking home. It was about a 20-minute walk from her complex to my building, and I did the whole thing on foot because my own car was finally back from the shop and sitting in my spot at home. The air felt different. Lighter, maybe. Like putting down a bag you had been carrying so long you forgot how heavy it was. I got home, showered, made dinner, watched something on my laptop. Nothing from Tara. No, got it, thanks. No, the car looks good. Not even a petty little jab about how long it took. Just dead air. For 3 months, she had been blowing up my phone every couple of weeks with demands and guilt trips and dramatic messages about how I was ruining her life. Now she had her car back, her keys, her $800 debt cleared, and absolutely nothing to say to me. I told myself that was fine. That was the whole point. I went to bed and slept better than I had in weeks. The next day, still nothing. And I am not going to lie, the silence started to feel wrong. Tara is not a silence kind of person. Tara is a call you 4 times in one afternoon afternoon kind of person. So the quiet did not feel like an ending. It felt like the part in a storm where everything goes still, right before something worse rolls in. Wednesday I was at work when my phone buzzed with a text from Brock. We had not talked in maybe 2 weeks, so seeing his name pop up was a little random. Hey man, you free this weekend? Bunch of us are getting together at Nadia's. I typed back quick. Yeah, sounds good. I'm down. There was a pause. The typing bubble popped up, disappeared, popped up again. That is never a good sign with Brock because Brock is a one text and done kind of guy. He does not draft messages. Finally, it came through. Just giving you a heads up. Tara's been telling people you held her car for ransom and she had to pay you off to get it back. Like she's calling it extortion. I read that 3 times. Set my phone down on my desk and stared at the wall. Then I picked it back up. Who's heard this version? Brock did not take long. Pretty much everyone. She's been calling people all week. All week. That was why the silence. Tara was not being quiet because she had nothing to say. She was being quiet with me because she was busy saying plenty to everyone else. While I was walking home feeling lighter, while I was sleeping better, while I was telling myself it was over, she was on the phone with every person in our friend group feeding them a version of this story where I was the bad guy from start to finish. Not the guy who covered her half of a beach house and waited 3 months to get paid back. Not the guy who kept her car in perfect condition and filled it with premium every time. In her version, I was the guy who stole a car and held it for ransom until she coughed up money. Extortion. That was the word she picked. I had the receipts. I had every text saved in a folder on my phone, organized and time-stamped. But Tara had a week head start and she had been using every single day of it. The first person I called was Chol. If there was anyone in that group I thought had my back no matter what, it was him. We had been tight since before Tara was even in the picture, and he knew me well enough to know I was not the kind of person who snaps and does something crazy for no reason. I called him Thursday night and started from the beginning. The beach house, the declined card, the 3 months of excuses, all of it. He let me talk. He did not interrupt, which I took as a good sign at first. When I finished, there was a long pause, and then Chul said, "Look, I know she owed you money, but holding someone's car for 3 months, that's a lot, man. People are saying you went overboard." I told him about the texts. I told him about the boots and the leather jacket, and the way she ordered the most expensive thing on the menu while I was short on rent because of her. I told him how every time I asked for my own money back, she made me feel like I was the one being unreasonable. Chol listened to all of it, and then he said, "I hear you. I just don't want to be in the middle of it." That landed harder than I expected. Not because Chol was being mean, he was being honest, and honest meant he was not going to fight for me. Understanding and actually standing up and saying something are 2 very different things, and Chol had just picked the side that required him to do nothing. I thanked him for hearing me out and hung up and sat there on the edge of my bed, feeling like the ground under me was getting smaller. Next, I texted Nadia. She was the one who had asked that question in the group chat months ago, the one that shut Tara's whole story down in real time. Wait, didn't you owe him money since like spring? If anyone still saw things clearly, it was her. She called me about an hour later, warmer than Chol right off the bat, but I could tell she was picking her words carefully. I asked that question because it was relevant, she said. But Tara's been crying to people saying you traumatized her. She told Narcissa, and her mom apparently wants to call you. That word hit me like a brick. I kept the car clean, kept it full of premium gas, never drove it anywhere reckless, gave it back without a scratch the morning after she paid me, and the word Tara was using with people was traumatized. I asked Nadia straight up if she believed me. Small pause. I believe the money part, but 3 months with someone's car is hard to defend to people who weren't paying attention to the backstory. And that right there was the whole problem packed into one sentence. Tara had told her version first and told it louder, and the 3 months she sat on my rent money had been completely erased. After I got off the phone with Nadia, I opened the group chat for the first time in a few days. It was quiet. Way too quiet. This was a chat that usually had at least 10 or 15 messages a day. Random stuff, memes, plans, someone complaining about work. But for the last 4 or 5 days, there was almost nothing. I scrolled back further and noticed a few people had referenced something that did not match anything in the chat I was looking at, like they were continuing a conversation that had started somewhere else. I texted Brock. "Is there another group chat I'm not in?" He did not try to soften it. "Yeah, Tara made it. Said she didn't feel safe with you in the chat. Didn't feel safe with me," in a text thread. I put my phone face down on the counter and just stood there for a while. I covered a friend's share of a vacation because her card got declined. She promised to pay me back in a week. She did not. For 3 months, she dodged and deflected and made me feel like garbage every time I brought it up. When I finally did something about it, she paid me back. And now I was standing alone in my apartment on a Thursday night, realizing half my friend group was having conversations about me in a chat I was not allowed to see. Because the person who owed me money for 3 months told them she did not feel safe around me. I had the screenshots. I had the truth sitting in a folder on my phone, organized and impossible to argue with. But Tara had the narrative, and the narrative was winning. I almost did not go Saturday. I stood at my front door with my car keys in my hand for a solid minute, just staring at the door. Part of me thought, why bother? Walk in there, sit through 2 hours of people being careful around me, watch Tara play the victim from across the room, then drive home feeling worse than I already did. But if I stayed home, Tara owned the room. She got to tell the ransom version one more time to one more audience with 0 pushback. And by Monday, it would be the only version anyone remembered. I could not let that happen. I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshot folder, scrolled through to confirm everything was there. Every text, every excuse, organized by date. I put the phone in my back pocket, locked my apartment door, and walked to my car. The ride to Nadia's place took 15 minutes. I knocked twice, and Nadia let me in with a small smile and a, "Hey, glad you came." That felt genuine enough. Then I stepped inside, and the whole room changed. The sound dipped, not a lot, just enough, like someone turned the volume knob down 1 click. There were maybe 8 or 9 people there, and I knew most of them. Brock was by the fridge. Chol was leaning against the far wall near the hallway. And right there in the center of the couch, legs crossed, drink in hand, surrounded on both sides by people leaning in close, was Tara. She did not look at me. Not a glance, not a flicker, nothing. The conversations picked back up after that half-second pause, but they were quieter now. Like everyone was suddenly very aware of how their words might carry across across the room. Brock spotted me and gave me a nod, grabbed a drink from the counter and walked it over. We moved to the far end, away from the main group, and stood there sipping without talking for a few seconds. Then Brock leaned in and said, quiet enough that only I could hear, she's been here for an hour. She already told the story again, the ransom version. I took a slow breath. Did anyone push back? Brock shook his head. Nobody wants the drama. Said it flat, like he was reporting the weather. And that was the part that hurt the most. People did not want to deal with not believing her. Pushing back meant asking questions and getting involved and picking a side. And nobody wanted to pick a side when one side had been crying on the phone all week, and the other side had not even shown up yet. So Tara got the floor by default. Then she made her move. She turned toward Yan, her sister, who was sitting right next to her on the couch, and raised her voice just enough that it carried past the couch, past the coffee table, past the people standing near the hallway. Just enough that the whole room could hear without her looking like she was trying to be heard. I'm just so glad I got it back in one piece, she said, voice carrying that shaky quality that makes people lean in. You never know with someone like that. 3 months, I couldn't sleep. Yan put her arm around Tara's shoulder, and Tara leaned into it like she needed the support. A couple of people near the couch glanced at each other. Someone across the room shook their head slightly. Nobody looked at me, which was somehow worse than if they had. Tara had painted me as someone you do not feel safe around without ever saying my name. I was halfway to putting my drink down and walking out when I looked up and caught Nadia watching me from the window on the far side of the room. Not pity, not concern, a question. Her eyebrow lifted just a little and her head tilted half an inch, and the look in her eyes said one thing clearly. Are you going to say something or not? I looked at her for maybe 2 seconds. Then I set my drink on the counter, nice and easy, and turned toward the living room. Tara, since you're telling the story, you want me to fill in the parts you keep leaving out? The room went still. Tara looked at me for the first time all night, face tight, controlled, like she had been rehearsing this moment in her head. I don't know what you're talking about. I've been very honest about what happened. I pulled my phone out and held it up so she could see the screen, because I've got every text. Want to start with the one where you told me asking for my own money back was not a good look? Or the one where you said don't nickel and dime me? Or maybe we start with the fact that you owed me $800 for 3 months before I ever touched your car. Tara shifted on the couch. That's different. Money is not the same as someone's vehicle. I nodded. You're right. Money is how I pay rent. And when I told you I was short, you told me to relax and change the subject to brunch. Then I started reading. Not all of them. I did not need all of them. I picked the worst ones and read them out loud in her exact words. Flat and calm. No spin. No commentary. The eventually texts. The you're being cheap text. The one where asking for my own money was making things weird. Just reading them like a grocery list, one after another, and the room listened. Nobody moved. Nobody looked at their phone. Tara cut in halfway through. You're cherry picking. You're making me sound horrible. Nadia's voice came from the window, quiet but clear enough to fill the room. Those are your words, Tara. He's literally reading your messages. Tara's head snapped toward Nadia. Oh, so you're on his side now? Nadia shook her head, calm as anything. I'm not on anyone's side, but you've been telling everyone he stole your car out of nowhere. He didn't. You owed him money for months and blew him off every time he asked. That's context that matters. Yan shifted and whispered something close to Tara's ear. Tara pulled away fast. Don't, she said, sharp and short. The whole room noticed. Then Chol cleared his throat from the far wall. Everyone looked at him. Tara, I gotta be honest, he said, voice slow and careful. I told him I didn't want to be in the middle of this, but I've been in the middle of it all week because you called me 4 times. He looked at me. You probably should have given the car back sooner, but she definitely owed you the money and definitely acted like it was nothing. That is when Tara's face changed. She did not yell. She did not jump up and storm toward the door. Her voice dropped low, almost to a whisper, and her eyes went glassy, and she said something I will never forget for as long as I live. You want to know why I didn't pay you back right away? Because I didn't think you'd actually do anything about it. I thought you'd just let it go. That's what you always do. You let things go. The room was dead silent. She did not say she forgot. She did not say she could not afford it. She did not say it slipped her mind, or that things were tight, or any of the other excuses she could have reached for. She said she did not think I would push back. She had counted on me being the guy who swallows it and moves on, and when I was not that guy, she turned me into the villain. I put my phone back in my pocket. Well, now you know I don't just let things go. I looked around the room. I'm not asking anyone to pick sides. I just needed people to hear the full story, not the version where it starts with me and ends with me. Brock let out a long exhale from across the room, the kind that sounds like someone had been holding their breath for 5 minutes. Nadia nodded once from the window. Tara grabbed her jacket off the back of the couch, stood up without looking at anyone, and walked toward the door. Yan got up and followed her out without a word. Nobody stopped them. I stayed at Nadia's for another hour. Nobody brought up Tara. Chol came over and sat next to me on the couch, and after a minute of just sitting there, he said, for the record, 3 months was insane, but it was also kind of legendary. I laughed for the first time in weeks. Over the next few days, the friend group quietly reshuffled. No dramatic exits. Tara did not leave. I did not leave. But the separate group chat disappeared and the original one started buzzing again. Tara never apologized, but she never rewrote the story in that group again either. We did not talk for a long time after that. Not out of anger. More like 2 people who finally said everything there was to say. I did not miss the friendship exactly. I missed who I thought she was. The $800 is back in my account and I have not thought about it once.